worship Muhammad, peace be upon him. We're called Muslims because we have submitted. But if you look at the word, for example, Buddhist, they take their name from Buddha. If you look at Christians, they take their name from Christ, peace be upon him. If you look at Jews, they take their name from Judea, you see. So, and if you look at the Hindus, they take their name from what? The Hind River. So all of these things are named from the people or places that the religion or the way of life has existed. But Muslims are not called Mohammedans because we are a people who have not actually worshipped Muhammad, peace be upon him, but we are people who actually follow the guidelines that he has brought in order for us to submit to the one who has given, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah the Most Great has sent him. Sixthly, most Muslims are Arabs. What's the percentage do you think of Arabs are in the Muslim world? 50%? 60%? Higher? Lower? Higher? Huh?
Maybe higher.
Maybe higher? Okay. 70 maybe? What do you think? Huh? You have a point? What do you think? Huh? 30, mashallah. Huh? 40%, mashallah. Huh? 20? Oh, getting lower, my goodness. Go to mid. Increase it. Huh? Okay. The real figure is somewhere around between 15 to 17% of the total Muslim population are Arabs. So we have them in Uzbekistan, in Tajikistan, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in India, in Malaysia, in Morocco, in all of those places. That's why when the Spaniards they came to the Philippines, they saw the Muslims, they saw them praying, right? That's why they call them Filipinos. Why? King Philip's Nas Filipinas. You see, so Nas means people. So King Philip's people. So they changed the royal-blooded Malaysian people from the Philippines. They started calling them Filipinos, King Philip's people. But when they came and they said, when they looked at them, they were actually praying, and they were going up and down. They said, "Oh, look, the Moors are here also," because they fought them in Morocco, in North Africa. So when the Spaniards came there, they said, "Oh, they have followed us here also," because they saw them praying in Morocco, right? Algeria, Libya, all that area. And they saw them also praying in the Philippines, and they were totally shocked. And that's why Islam, you take from Malaysia to Morocco, you will see mostly the same kind of praying, same kind of Muslim understanding in terms of following the Quran and the Sunnah, with small variants. So most Muslims are not Arabs. You know, they have a lot of them in sub-Saharan Africa, you have in Black Africa, you have everywhere you see, you'll find Muslims. Even if you go to, they have a joke, they say, anywhere you go, you'll find a Pakistani, right? So, but anywhere you go, actually, you will find a Muslim. It's just by the nature of Muslims, they tend to. That's why maybe the media is afraid. They're everywhere. You notice the music that comes along also when they put on the thing. Actually, I threw out my TV many years ago, but I still, sometimes stuck in a hotel, I might watch news or something, which is total waste of my time. When I'm away from my wife and kids, I get lonely, I guess, in my books and stuff. So, but I remember the music, and then he became religious, and he found a prayer mat next to his school locker, he wasn't flirting with women anymore, he stopped drinking. I mean, those are virtues. He stopped flirting, he stopped drinking, he stopped womanizing. Instead of saying good things, he said, "Oh, fundamentalist has come to our town," and then, the music and the car going and the beard flopping this way and so on and so forth. All those things will come on. It's quite scary. Number seven, Islam spread by the sword. Islam spread by the sword. right? Sword. I don't know, one comedian, he was saying, I had a joke sometime, he said, yeah, he spread cream cheese or something like that. But if you look at 14 million Coptic Christians in Egypt alone, 14 million. If Islam was spread by the sword, you think you would be finding 14 million Coptic Christians in Egypt itself? Huh? Do you think that? It's impossible if it was spread by the sword itself. I actually was there myself and saw the Sahaba's masjid that was there, and Mary Girgis was actually the church of Mary Girgis was right next to the masjid there. So the church was there, the masjid was there, and there was no squabbling over anywhere. I mean, people just said, this is the church and so on, and they kept going. They weren't like throwing stones and saying, oh, when they come out, let us get him. Nothing. So definitely peaceful coexistence have been there and is still there. 800 years rule in Spain. The golden age of the Jews as well as the Christians was in Spain. And that's not by Muslim historians, that's by Jewish historians as well as Christian historians. The golden age of the Jews and the Christians was underneath Muslim Spain. So Muslims, when we have ruled with justice and we have given them fair equity. So we have had an 800-year rule that you can say, well, this is 800-year rule. When you can prove that, or even half of that, or a quarter of that, or a tenth of that, then we will say, well, this is a great rule that you have done. You have given back what we have actually given. In the Quran itself, for example, it says, La ikraha fi din, there is no compulsion in religion. So you cannot compel somebody to worship. So there's impossible for you to actually go with the sword and say, well, okay, what's your name? Yeah? Caroline. Okay, accept Islam or take it. It's totally against the teachings of the Quran. Chapter 2, verse 256, no compulsion in religion. So it is impossible for Muslims to go in any land and to take a sword and say, okay, do it. Because it is null and void. That's why the jurists, Imam Malik also said, for the divorce itself, he said if it is done under compulsion, it is null and void. Meaning to say, if you go, to somebody, some man's head and say, listen, you give your wife a divorce because I want to marry her, I'm going to shoot you after you come out. He said, okay, I divorce your wife. Understand? The divorce is null and void because it's done under duress. And this is something that is also found in common law in North America. So you have that, no compulsion in religion. In chapter 60, verse 8, it said, أَنْ تَبَرُّهُمْ وَتُقْسِطُ إِلَيْهِمْ. Meaning to say that, be kind to them. تَبَرُّهُمْ. How can you be kind to somebody who's taking a sword and you're going to chop off her head and say, oh yeah, the Muslims will kill you and cut your head. So for example, the Muslim male is allowed to marry from the people of the book because that's a high appellage, meaning people who get Jews and Christians. So for example, he gets into a marriage with Ahmad marries Josephina, and then on the night of the marriage, they sign the contract, and he takes a sword and hacks at her. Doesn't make any sense to you. It doesn't make any sense. So it has no basing in Islam or nothing to do with the fundamental teachings of Muslim. And this is the verse that is very, very, in chapter 49, verse 13. It says, O mankind, Ya ayyuhan nas. It didn't actually say, Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu. It didn't say, O you who believe. It said, O mankind. We have created you from a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes so that you may get to know one another. Verily the most honored of you in the sight of God is the one who is most righteous. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The most honored of you, akramakum, is tafdeel, meaning to say this is something that is the highest, that you give it a superlative action towards it. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. That the best of you, the most honored of you, are the most meaning to say, because righteousness cannot be bought. You cannot buy righteousness. You cannot say, well, I'm from so-and-so lineage, I'm from this person, and so on and so forth. So the most honored of the human beings are the ones who are most God-conscious, and God-consciousness cannot be bought with any kind of money or any kind of bribes. Number 8.